While on my trip, I'm getting stuck in my tent because outside it's kind of windy and it started raining and it starts to stop raining a little while, so I'm getting bored and I don't know what to do. I started disassembling and charging all my gear, cleaning them up, and I wanted to record a few considerations that I've done in these couple of years about this one, the Sony FDR-X3000. Stick with me and we'll see what this is all about. First of all, this video quality is gonna suck because I'm in a tent, so the lighting is gonna be not as ideal, but I think we can do a decent job. Why in 2021 I'm trying to make a video about this specific camera which has been on the market for like 3 years now? Because I think Sony literally missed the chance with this one. It could have been better. It couldn't been the camera for the years to come for many reasons. And first of all, when I purchased this camera, it was mostly for attaching it to my helmet. As you can see, I have the helmet attachment on my helmet here. And I was never a fan of the GoPro or any GoPro style design sticking out of the camera so far. So I wanted something more streamlined going with the design. Sadly, so many other options that apparently were common in the past are not available anymore, or they just don't do 4K, or they're not just up to the task to modern standards in recording. So after a bunch of months spending researching the perfect camera, I decided to go for this one. And I kind of have a love and hate relationship with this Sony. This was never designed to be a motorcycle helmet camera, and yet is still a very usable motorcycle helmet camera. You don't have to expect anything else rather than record and stop recording. Anything else will leave you disappointed. And it's so bad because it has 4K up to 100 megabytes per second, so it's like a devastating quality and bitrate of the camera. It has optical image stabilization embedded. Yes, it's more like having a mini gimbal inside the camera. This was never designed to be used without having easy access to the side menu and actually seeing the camera. In other words, sticking it somewhere and operating remotely is a pain in the ass. First of all, when you turn it on, yes, you can deactivate the sound. The only way to interact with the camera, since the screen is not touch because it's so tiny and it's kind of old, is actually using physical buttons on the camera itself. But the menu system is really messy and complicated. You're gonna have a hard time if you want to use the camera itself to change the recording mode, going from 4K to 1080, from picture to video to time lapse. That's gonna be a nightmare. The GoPro clearly has the advantage of this, by all means. What I found it to be useful is that when I put it on my helmet right here and I press recording, I can select the option of only start recording immediately as soon as I push the recording button, so I don't miss any specific moment that I might be passing away real fast. And also I have front, top and back LED that helps me identify that the camera is actually recording. And the frontal one is very important for me because usually I turn it on and I check for visual confirmation in my mirror that is actually on, because otherwise there's no way that I can know if it's recording or not. One thing that I don't like, especially about this carrying case, which is built like a tank, it's supposed to be granting waterproofing up to 10 meters, but this does not add any value to me because I'm not gonna go diving with this camera anyway. So a modification that I needed to make to this carrying case is to actually drill a hole in the front. I hope you can see it. See? So that through the hole I'm able to see the front camera LED going on and off. otherwise it's just useless to me. In addition to that, I had to drill through the back of the plastic case so that I can have access to the port on the back even when it's inside the case, specifically the microphone port and the micro USB port for charging. Since I'm not really interested in getting this waterproofing, I don't care, this is already water resistant, but I do care about the integrity of the camera itself. If I crash or if it falls into the ground when I'm handling it, I don't want the camera to crash. So this is built like a tank, and I'm sure that at least it's gonna do its job. I had the idea of drilling through the plastic case when I was watching The Long Way Up from Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman, because they did it last year in 2020 and they still chose to use this camera model for their helmet communication. And you might wonder why in 2020, when there are so many other cameras from GoPro, from DJI, from whatever, you name it, they still went for this one. They use at the same time a cord powering the camera on, and they also have their microphone going into here. And the fact that you have a native 3.5 microphone port is what makes this camera still ideal for vlogging purposes, because you don't need to do anything else as long as you have a working microphone popping out of your helmet, pop it in, and boom, you're all set to record. While historically the GoPro has been a pain in the hole about this, because all you have to do to record with GoPro, you have to purchase this external adapter that you have to stick in the, of course, USB Type-C port, and then, and only then, there's no other way around as far as I know, you can plug in your microphone adapter. This means that natively the form factor of the GoPro sucks. The only way that I had found to get away a bit with the design is to stick the GoPro in the Ulanzi case. This is metal, this is aluminum, but this is only because at the bottom, I hope you can see it, there's a compartment where I can stick the adapter and plug it in, but this is still quite bulky, heavy, and if I were to put it on the side of the helmet right here, it will still be a lot heavier, much heavier than the GoPro one, because this is made of aluminum. As you can see here, with the GoPro inside the Ulanzi case and the adapter, I still don't have a great experience in using the GoPro as an external camera, because it sticks out a lot. I'm using the Sony proprietary helmet mount, which is sweet, but it has a design flaw that I'm gonna show you in a minute. As you can see, there's considerable less footprint by the Sony. If the front of the case was the same shape of the lens of the Sony, this would be even slimmer and more streamlined, like this. It will even less visible. So that's something that I could consider, I don't know, chopping off. I don't know. It's only plastic. There's nothing inside, so I can go and contour it out if I wanted to. I wanted to talk about this specific mount that I was mentioning a minute ago, because as many other mounts, it all starts with an adhesive curved plastic mount, GoPro style, and there's this component which has been engineered quite well in all its parts. You can choose to plug it in from this direction inside or this direction, and of course all the parts that you can see, let me put it aside for a second, all the parts that you can see in this component, you can disassemble them with these thumb screws, so you can turn it upside down and you can choose how much of a distance you want from the helmet, between the camera and the helmet, and also with this thumb screw, the tilt. And with this, I don't know, with this selector, you can choose the tilt front and back, while this thumb screw regulates the tilt left and right. So it's pretty neat, to be honest. The only flaw that I can see with this is that if I use the Sony directly without the case, oh yes, because both the camera and the case have a 1/4 inch thread at the bottom, so that's nice. The GoPro doesn't have that. You need to have the Ulanzi case or something compatible like that. Anyway, if I use the camera directly fitted into this mount, I have a better experience in fine-tuning the regulation and when the camera is sitting. But when the camera is in the case, which is the whole point of this situation, I cannot have it in the configuration where it sits closer to the helmet, because I lose access to some regulation. Specifically, I cannot tilt it on the left because it hits the helmet. So I have to put this insert in this direction here. I have to put it this way. There you go. Which is not great because it sticks out a lot. While in a previous configuration where I was using the camera, I think I had that maybe in the long Norway ride. I'll try to look for some footage where you can see this Sony camera put directly without the case in the other configuration of the helmet mount. Anyway, the point is that this is the only configuration when I can use the actual case for the camera. Another consideration that I wanted to make is that the Sony camera has never been cheap. Even a couple of years ago when I bought it, it was already almost 2 years old, or at least 1 year, 1.5 years something, but it still was in the price tag for more than 500 euro with a bunch of accessories that I never needed. But anyway, it's a good camera, it's a solid camera, it's damn reliable. I think this is the thing that I like about it the most, instead of the GoPro. There were so many cases where, while using the GoPro as my only camera, even when I was traveling, not necessarily my motorbike, and I had my GoPro with me, I wanted to pick it up, power it on, record and shoot something, and I missed my shot because sometimes the battery just won't power the camera on, and it was fully charged. And I don't remember how many times I had to pull it out, the Ulanzi case, with this procedure, opening the case, maybe remove the cap from the lens because it wouldn't shoot, pop the camera off, and then with this impossible, stupid, smooth instead of grippy opening at the bottom, it drives me mad. Then once it's open, pull the tab, remove the battery and put the battery back on, and then the GoPro would power on with, I don't know, 90% battery. It drove me mad so many times, even if I updated the firmware, which they stopped updating many years ago, while the Sony does one thing, as I said in the beginning of the video, and it records when you tell it to record, and it stops when you tell it to stop. If you find a way to work around everything else, you could see why even a TV show production like The Long Way Up chose this camera, even if it's 3 years old, because the quality of the video is still very good, the optical stabilization helps a lot, and there's the native microphone port in the back. You cannot ask anything more. You cannot ask for quick sharing the footage that you've done, because the companion app is completely garbage. In this, the GoPro app is not perfect, but it's definitely better. You cannot even watch the clip that you recorded during the day from the companion app, because for some reason the developers from Sony decided that they won't develop the app any further. So if you have some video recorded at 1080 or in 4K, you can watch it, but you cannot hear the audio from the video while you are watching them, streaming them from the app through your phone. But since you don't have a screen here like you have in the GoPro, and a speaker like you have in the GoPro, and a companion app, it sucks. It's really a big letdown. It also has a very fast charging capability from the battery, because many times when it was dead during a lunch break in 20 minutes or 20-30 minutes, I completely recharged the battery from 0 to 100, and I was able to make it for the rest of the day. As I said before, it's a bit of a love and hate for this specific camera. I learned how to fit everything else that goes around the camera in its small, tiny universe to my needs, but so far, for pure vlogging capabilities in a helmet camera, I think this Sony camera in 2021 is still a very good win. But what do you think? If I were to change this setup in the future for a better camera, a newer camera with the same quality, the same video quality of the Sony, the same capability when it comes to audio and reliability, what would you recommend? What do you use at the moment? Or are you aware there's something is coming real soon from any maker?